Sometimes the saddest thing a person can hide is not a secret. It is hunger. William Harrington had built an empire from nothing. Over 4 decades, he transformed a small construction company into one of the most successful development firms in the country. His name appeared on hospitals, universities, and office towers. Newspapers called him a visionary. Business magazines called him a legend. Yet on that particular night, none of those accomplishments mattered. Because just after midnight, as he walked through the silent halls of his sprawling estate outside Boston, he noticed something unusual. A faint light glowed beneath the door of a small service kitchen near the back of the mansion. William stopped. Most of the staff had gone home hours earlier. The remaining employees were asleep in the staff quarters. The kitchen should have been empty. Curious, he quietly approached the door. The mansion was silent except for the distant ticking of a grandfather clock somewhere down the hallway. As he drew closer, he heard the faint sound of movement. Not hurried movement. Careful movement. Almost as though someone was trying not to be noticed. William pushed the door open slowly. What he saw made him freeze. Sitting alone at a small table near the corner of the kitchen was a young girl. 12-year-old Lily Carter. The daughter of Emily Carter, one of the housekeepers who had worked at the estate for nearly 7 years. Lily immediately looked up, startled by the sound of the door. Her eyes widened. For a brief moment, neither of them spoke. The overhead light above the table illuminated a simple paper plate in front of her. On the plate were leftovers from dinner. A few pieces of chicken. Some vegetables. Half a dinner roll. Food that would normally have been thrown away at the end of the evening. William glanced at the plate. Then at Lily. Then back at the plate. "Lily?" he asked gently. "What are you doing up so late?" The girl lowered her eyes quickly. "I could not sleep." Her voice was soft. Almost too soft. William nodded slowly. Something felt wrong. Lily was known throughout the estate as a cheerful child. Polite. Bright. Always smiling. Yet tonight there was something different about her. Something hidden behind her expression. "Are you hungry?" he asked. Lily immediately shook her head. Too quickly. "No, sir." William looked at the food again. The answer made no sense. Before he could respond, Lily picked up her fork and forced a small smile. "I just did not want this to go to waste." The explanation sounded prepared. Rehearsed. As though she had said it before. William studied her carefully. Then he noticed something else. A tear glistening near the corner of her eye. Lily turned her face slightly, trying to hide it. But she was not fast enough. William saw it. And suddenly the plate of leftovers no longer seemed important. Because children did not cry over leftover food. Not unless something much bigger was hiding beneath the surface. He pulled out a chair and sat down across from her. Lily stared at the table. Her small hands tightened around the fork. "Did something happen?" William asked quietly. Lily hesitated. Then she shook her head. "No, sir." Another answer that felt incomplete. Outside, rain tapped softly against the kitchen windows. Inside, the room felt smaller somehow. He looked at the plate again. Then at the little girl sitting across from him. And for the first time, William found himself asking a question he could not ignore. Why was the daughter of his trusted housekeeper sitting alone after midnight, hiding in the dark to eat food that everyone else had already rejected? William remained seated across from Lily for another minute, but the conversation went nowhere. Every question received a polite answer. Every answer revealed almost nothing. The little girl continued eating slowly, carefully avoiding eye contact. Eventually William stood. "You should get some sleep," he said gently. Lily nodded. "Yes, sir." He paused near the doorway. "Good night, Lily." "Good night, Mr. Harrington." As he walked away, he could not shake the feeling that he had only seen a small piece of a much larger story. The next morning, sunlight filled the estate through towering windows that overlooked acres of manicured gardens. Staff members moved through their usual routines. Breakfast was served in the main dining room. Deliveries arrived. Schedules were reviewed. Everything appeared normal. Yet William found himself paying attention to something he had never noticed before. Lily. Around 9 o'clock, he spotted her helping her mother carry folded linens through a side hallway. The girl smiled politely when she saw him. Nothing about her behavior suggested she had been awake after midnight eating leftovers in secret. She seemed cheerful. Relaxed? Perfectly fine. Later that afternoon, William passed through the staff dining area. Several employees were eating lunch together. Emily Carter sat among them discussing schedules for the week. Lily was nearby reading a library book. One of the cooks offered her a fresh sandwich. "Hungry, Lily?" The girl smiled immediately. "No, thank you. I already ate." William stopped walking. The exact same answer? The exact same words? The cook shrugged and handed the sandwich to someone else. Lily returned to her book. Most people would have forgotten the exchange within seconds. William did not. That evening, he noticed something similar again. A tray of snacks had been prepared for staff members working late. Fresh fruit, sandwiches, and drinks sat on a table near the service entrance. Lily walked past them without taking anything. "Help yourself," one employee called. "I am okay," Lily answered. "I already ate." Again. The same response. Over the next several days, William became increasingly aware of a pattern. Every opportunity to eat. Every offer of food. Every invitation to join others at meals. Lily declined all of them. Always politely. Always with a smile. Always using nearly identical words. Yet despite her claims, William rarely saw her actually eat. The mystery only deepened. One rainy afternoon, William stood in his study reviewing documents when he happened to glance out the window. Near the staff quarters, he saw Lily sitting beneath a covered porch reading a school workbook. A bowl sat beside her. Not a meal. Just a few crackers and an apple. William frowned. A 12-year-old child should have been eating far more than that. Something was wrong. Later that evening, curiosity finally overcame hesitation. He quietly approached Emily while she organized supplies in a storage room. "How is Lily doing?" he asked casually. Emily smiled. "She is doing well. She seems like a wonderful kid." Pride immediately appeared on Emily's face. "She is my whole world." William nodded. "Is she eating enough?" The question surprised her. "Of course." Then she laughed softly. "Actually, sometimes I wish she would stop worrying about everyone else and think about herself for once." William looked up. "What do you mean?" Emily shook her head affectionately. "Lily has always been that way. If there's one cookie left, she gives it away. If someone needs help, she volunteers. She is constantly trying to take care of other people." The answer lingered with William long after the conversation ended. Because it fit what he had already begun to suspect. This was not a child hiding food because she was selfish. It was not a child sneaking leftovers because she enjoyed them. There was a reason behind her behavior. A reason connected to someone she cared about. That night, as rain tapped softly against the windows once again, William found himself thinking about the tear he had seen in the kitchen. About the plate of leftovers. About the repeated words. "I already ate." The more he thought about them, the less he believed them. And somewhere inside the mansion, hidden from everyone else, Lily Carter was still protecting a secret that seemed far bigger than a few missed meals. Late Friday afternoon, the estate was unusually quiet. Most of the staff had already finished their primary duties, and a gentle breeze moved through the gardens beyond the mansion. William Harrington sat in his study attempting to focus on a stack of contracts spread across his desk. Normally, paperwork helped clear his mind. Today it did not. Every few minutes, his thoughts drifted back to the same questions. Why was Lily avoiding meals? Why had she been crying in the kitchen? And what was she trying so hard to hide? Finally, he pushed the papers aside and walked toward the rear section of the estate. The staff quarters sat beyond a small courtyard lined with flowering shrubs and old maple trees. William had no intention of spying on anyone. He simply wanted answers. As he approached the area, he noticed movement near a storage shed behind the laundry building. It was Lily. She looked around carefully before disappearing inside. Curious, Williams slowed his pace. Several minutes passed. When Lily finally emerged, she carried something tucked beneath her sweater. She glanced over her shoulder twice before walking toward a small wooded corner near the property fence. William followed from a distance, careful not to be seen. The farther Lily walked, the more puzzled he became. Eventually she reached a weathered bench hidden beneath a cluster of tall trees. No one ever used that area. It was quiet, shaded, and largely forgotten. Lily knelt beside the bench and reached underneath it. William watched as she pulled out a large glass jar. His eyebrows rose. The jar was nearly full. Not of candy. Not of toys. Coins. Dozens and dozens of coins. Quarters. Nickels. Dimes. Small bills folded neatly between them. Lily sat on the bench and carefully emptied part of the jar onto her lap. Then she removed several folded pieces of paper. William moved slightly closer. He could not read everything, but he saw enough to understand that each note had been written by Lily herself. One note read, "Medicine Fund." Another read, "For Mom." Another simply said, "Emergency." William felt something tighten in his chest. Lily counted every coin with extraordinary concentration. Occasionally she wrote numbers in a small notebook. Then she added another coin and recalculated. There was something heartbreaking about watching a 12-year-old child manage money with the seriousness of an adult carrying a mortgage. After several minutes, Lily smiled softly at a number she had written down. It was not the smile of a child who had bought something fun. It was the smile of someone moving one step closer to a goal that mattered deeply. Then she carefully returned everything to the jar and hid it beneath the bench again. Before leaving, she touched the glass gently, almost like a promise. William remained where he was long after Lily disappeared. His mind replayed everything he had just witnessed. The leftovers. The skipped meals. The repeated claims that she had already eaten. Suddenly the pieces began fitting together. Lily was saving money. Every dollar. Every coin. Every opportunity. But why? That evening, another clue appeared. As William passed through a hallway near the staff quarters, he overheard a conversation coming from Emily's room. The door was slightly open. "The doctor says I should not worry," Emily said with a tired laugh. "It is probably nothing serious." William froze. A second voice answered. "Lily. You should still take care of yourself, Mom." "I know." "Promise?" There was a pause. "I promise." William quietly moved away before they noticed him. But his thoughts raced. Doctor. Tests. Medicine Fund. Emergency Fund. For Mom. Suddenly the mystery seemed far larger than simple hunger. Later that night, William sat alone in his study staring out at the dark grounds of the estate. Somewhere inside the mansion, a 12-year-old girl was secretly collecting coins, skipping meals, and carrying worries no child should have to carry. And for the first time, William began to suspect that Lily's sacrifice was not about herself at all. It was about protecting the one person she loved most in the world. The following week, William paid closer attention than ever before. Not because he wanted to intrude on Lily's life, but because he could no longer ignore what he had discovered. Every new detail seemed to confirm the same troubling truth. The child was quietly carrying burdens that belonged on adult shoulders. On Monday morning, the mansion kitchen prepared fresh blueberry pancakes for the staff. The smell drifted through the hallways. Several employees gathered before beginning their shifts. Lily entered briefly to fill a glass of water. One of the cooks smiled and placed a warm plate in front of her. "You need breakfast before school." Lily immediately pushed the plate back. "Thank you, but I am not hungry." The cook laughed. "Nobody turns down pancakes." Lily smiled politely. "I do." Then she picked up her water and left. William happened to witness the exchange from the doorway. 20 minutes later, he saw her outside sitting alone beneath a tree eating half of a banana that looked as though it had come from the previous day. The contrast troubled him. Fresh food was available. Yet, she consistently chose less. Later that afternoon, another piece of the puzzle emerged. William stopped by a pharmacy to pick up a prescription of his own. As he walked toward the counter, he noticed Emily standing several feet away speaking quietly with the pharmacist. She looked embarrassed. Uncomfortable. The pharmacist shook his head apologetically. Emily glanced down at her wallet and counted several bills before asking if part of the prescription could be filled now and the rest later. William immediately turned away before she noticed him. He did not want to invade her privacy. But the scene stayed with him for the rest of the day. That evening, as rain clouds gathered over the estate once again, William returned to his study. For years he had made decisions involving millions of dollars. Yet he found himself thinking about a few missing meals, a hidden jar of coins, and a worried child. Something about it would not leave him alone. Around 9 o'clock, he stepped onto a second-floor balcony overlooking part of the property. Below, near the staff quarters, he spotted Lily sitting beside her mother on a small bench. The two shared a single container of soup. Emily gently encouraged her daughter to take more. Lily refused. "I already had some earlier," she said. Emily accepted the answer without question. William almost closed his eyes. There were those words again. The same words. The same practiced smile. The same sacrifice. Suddenly he understood. Lily was not hiding her hunger from the staff. She was hiding it from her mother. The realization hit him harder than he expected. Everything began connecting. The leftovers. The skipped breakfasts. The hidden savings jar. The medicine fund. Lily was reducing her own meals so more money could go toward Emily's needs. She was trying to solve an adult problem with the only resources available to a 12-year-old child. The next morning brought confirmation. While walking through a corridor near the laundry room, William accidentally overheard Lily speaking on the phone. Her voice was low. "How much does the medicine cost?" she asked. There was a pause. "Okay." Another pause. "Thank you." William remained hidden around the corner. Lily continued. "I am just trying to help my mom." Then the call ended. A few moments later, she walked past him carrying a notebook. William waited until she disappeared before stepping into the hallway. The weight in his chest grew heavier. The child was not saving for toys. She was not saving for clothes. She was not saving for herself at all. Everything pointed toward one heartbreaking truth. Every leftover meal she ate. Every dollar she saved. Every small sacrifice she made was part of a plan to protect her mother. And as William stared out a nearby window toward the gray morning sky, he realized that what he had mistaken for poverty was actually something far more powerful. It was love disguised as sacrifice. That night, William could not sleep. The image of Lily sitting beneath the tree with half a banana lingered in his mind. So did the sound of her voice asking about medicine prices. Throughout his long career, he had met thousands of people. He had worked with politicians, executives, celebrities, and philanthropists. Yet few had affected him the way a 12-year-old girl had in just a matter of days. Because unlike most adults he knew, Lily was making sacrifices without expecting recognition. She was giving up comfort without seeking praise. And she was doing it entirely out of love. The following afternoon, William decided to take a walk around the estate grounds. Autumn had begun arriving in Massachusetts. Golden leaves drifted through the air. The gardens were quieter than usual. As he approached the old wooded corner near the property fence, he noticed movement near the hidden bench. Lily was there again. This time, she did not realize anyone was watching. William remained behind a line of trees and observed quietly. Lily pulled the glass jar from beneath the bench and emptied its contents onto the wooden seat. Coins scattered across the surface. Carefully, she began counting them. One stack. Then another. Then another. Every coin seemed important. Every dollar mattered. After several minutes, she opened the small notebook William had seen earlier. This time, he could read more clearly. Several pages contained handwritten calculations, dates, dollar amounts, lists. At the top of one page were the words, Mom's medicine. William felt his chest tighten. Lily counted the money twice. Then 3 times. Finally, she lowered her head. Her shoulders sagged. For the first time since he had started watching her, she looked defeated. Slowly, she opened another folded piece of paper hidden inside the notebook. It appeared older than the others. The edges were worn. The paper had been opened and folded many times. Lily read it silently. Then she smiled through tears. William could not see every word, but he caught enough. The paper contained a promise written in a child's handwriting. Several years earlier, perhaps. One sentence stood out clearly. I will always take care of Mom. William closed his eyes briefly. Everything suddenly made sense. This was not simply about money. It was about a promise. A promise made by a little girl who had watched her mother struggle and decided she would help somehow. Even if she was too young. Even if she had almost nothing. Even if the only thing she could control was how much food she ate. A branch snapped beneath William's shoe. Lily immediately looked up. Their eyes met. For a moment neither moved. Then Lily hurriedly gathered the coins. Mr. Harrington. Her voice trembled. William stepped forward slowly. I am sorry, he said. I did not mean to startle you. Lily quickly wiped her eyes. It is okay. The notebook disappeared beneath her arm. The jar remained on the bench. William glanced toward it. That is quite a collection. Lily looked down. I guess so. Saving for something important? A long silence followed. William expected her to avoid the question. Instead, something surprising happened. Perhaps she was tired. Perhaps she sensed he already knew part of the truth. Whatever the reason, she nodded. Yes. William sat down on the opposite side of the bench. Would you like to tell me about it? Lily stared at the coins. Mom works really hard. I know she does. She always says everything is fine. Her voice became smaller. Even when it is not. William listened carefully. And you want to help her? Lily nodded again. Tears appeared despite her efforts to stop them. I am trying. The words were barely audible. William looked at the jar filled with coins. At the notebook. At the promise she had carried for years. And in that moment, he realized something extraordinary. The little girl sitting beside him possessed more loyalty, courage, and selflessness than many adults twice her age. Yet he also knew something else. Lily had been trying to solve a problem far bigger than herself. And very soon, he would ask her a question that would change both of their lives forever. For several moments, neither William nor Lily spoke. The autumn breeze moved gently through the trees above them, carrying golden leaves across the grass. The jar of coins sat between them like a silent witness. Lily kept her eyes fixed on the money. William kept thinking about the promise folded inside her notebook. A promise no child should have been forced to carry alone. Finally, William broke the silence. Lily, may I ask you something? She nodded cautiously. If I could give you one thing in the world right now, what would it be? The question seemed simple. William expected hesitation. Perhaps a shy request for school supplies. Maybe a bicycle. Perhaps a new computer for school. After all, she was only 12 years old. Most children her age dreamed about things they wanted. Lily surprised him immediately. She did not answer right away. Instead, she stared at the coins in the jar. Then she looked toward the distant mansion. Finally, she whispered, Can it be anything? Anything, William said. Another pause followed. Then Lily spoke words that William would remember for the rest of his life. I want my mom to stop worrying. William felt his throat tighten. That is what you would choose. Lily nodded. She thinks I do not notice. Her voice remained soft. But I do. She took a deep breath. Sometimes she looks at bills when she thinks I am asleep. William listened carefully. Sometimes she cries in the laundry room when nobody is around. The words hit harder than he expected. Lily continued. She always tells me everything will be okay. A small smile appeared on her face. I know she is trying to protect me. Then the smile faded. I just wish someone could protect her. William looked away briefly. In all his years of success, he had rarely heard a more honest answer. No request for toys. No request for money. No request for comfort. Only concern for her mother. That is why you are saving? He asked gently. Lily nodded. The medicine costs a lot. And the leftovers? Lily looked embarrassed. If I eat less, Mom spends less. William closed his eyes for a second. Hearing the truth directly from her somehow made everything more painful. Lily, he said carefully, you know your mother would never want you skipping meals. I know. Then why do it? She looked down. Because I do not know what else to do. The answer hung heavily in the air. It was the answer of a child facing an adult problem without adult solutions. William suddenly realized how lonely she must have felt. Carrying responsibility in silence. Pretending everything was fine. Smiling so her mother would not worry. The same sacrifice repeated every day. Do you know something? William asked. Lily shook her head. Your mother is very lucky. She looked surprised. Lucky? Very lucky. William smiled gently. Because she has a daughter who loves her this much. Tears appeared in Lily's eyes again. This time she did not try as hard to hide them. They were not tears of sadness. They were tears of relief. The relief that comes when someone finally understands what you have been carrying. The two sat quietly for several minutes. The sun slowly lowered behind the trees. Shadows stretched across the grass. Eventually Lily carefully returned the coins to the jar. William watched her work. Every coin represented a sacrifice. Every dollar represented a skipped meal, or a forgotten personal wish. Yet he also knew something Lily did not. Her burden was about to become much lighter. As they stood to leave, William glanced toward the notebook tucked beneath her arm. Your mother does not know about any of this, does she? Lily quickly shook her head. No, why not? Because she already worries. Too much. William nodded slowly. Then he placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Sometimes, he said quietly, the strongest people are the ones who never ask for help. Lily looked up at him. Is that bad? William smiled sadly. Not bad. He paused. But sometimes even the strongest people deserve someone standing beside them. Lily did not fully understand what he meant. Not yet. But very soon, William Harrington would uncover something about Emily's situation that even Lily did not know. And that discovery would change everything. The days that followed felt different. William carried Lily's words with him everywhere he went. During meetings. During phone calls. Even during quiet evenings in his study. He could not stop thinking about the question he had asked and the answer she had given. Most adults spent their lives wanting more for themselves. Yet a 12-year-old girl had used her one wish to ask for peace of mind for her mother. The thought humbled him. Several mornings later, William received a phone call from an old friend who served on the board of a local medical foundation. The conversation began as routine business. It ended somewhere entirely different. During the discussion, William casually mentioned Emily Carter's name while asking a few questions about community healthcare resources. His friend paused. Emily Carter? William sat upright. You know her? Not personally, the man replied. But I remember the case. William felt his attention sharpen. What case? There was a brief silence. I assumed her family already knew. William's heart sank. Knew what? The answer arrived quietly. The specialist recommended additional treatment months ago. William stared through the window of his study. Additional treatment? Yes. Nothing immediate or catastrophic. But delaying it was not recommended. William's grip tightened around the phone. Why was it delayed? Another pause followed. Financial reasons, from what I understand. When the call ended, William remained motionless. Outside, workers moved across the estate grounds preparing for winter. Inside, a far more important realization settled over him. Emily had been protecting Lily. Lily had been protecting Emily. Each of them carrying worries for the other. Each pretending everything was fine. Neither realizing how much the other already knew. That afternoon, William found Lily sitting in her usual spot beneath the old maple tree reading a library book. Sunlight filtered through golden leaves overhead. She looked peaceful for the first time in days. William approached quietly. "Good book?" Lily smiled. "Very good." He sat beside her. "Can I ask another question?" "Sure." William studied her expression carefully. "How long have you known your mother has been struggling?" The smile disappeared. Lily lowered the book slowly. For several seconds she said nothing. Then she answered. "Almost a year." William looked at her in surprise. "A year?" She nodded. "I heard a phone call." The words came softly. "Mom thought I was asleep." William felt a wave of sadness. "And you never told her you knew?" Lily shook her head. "She was trying to protect me." "So you protected her?" Another nod. The simplicity of the answer nearly broke his heart. "Does she know about the jar?" William asked. "No, the skipped meals? No, the money?" "No." Lily stared toward the distant mansion. "She would be upset." William understood immediately. Emily would not have been angry. She would have been heartbroken. No mother wants her child sacrificing necessities because of adult problems. Yet Lily had done exactly that. Quietly. Consistently. Without complaint. William looked at the girl beside him and realized something remarkable. Emily believed she was carrying the family. Lily believed she was carrying the family. In truth, they had been carrying each other all along. As the afternoon sun slowly drifted lower, Lily opened her book again. A folded piece of paper slipped from between the pages and landed near William's shoe. Lily quickly reached for it, but not before he saw the drawing. It was simple. Crayon lines. Colored pencils. The kind of picture a child might make years earlier. A small house. A smiling woman. A little girl. Across the top were the words, "Me and Mom." William handed it back carefully. Lily blushed. "I made that a long time ago." "You kept it?" "Because it reminds me why I am saving." William looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled gently. The time for observation was ending. The time for action was beginning. And within a few days, everyone at the Harrington estate would learn a truth that would leave the entire mansion silent. 3 days later, every employee working at the Harrington estate received an unusual message. William Harrington wanted everyone to gather in the main reception hall at 4 o'clock that afternoon. No explanation accompanied the request. As the hour approached, curiosity spread throughout the mansion. Housekeepers, gardeners, maintenance workers, cooks, drivers, and administrative staff gradually filled the elegant hall. Sunlight streamed through massive windows, illuminating polished marble floors and crystal chandeliers overhead. Emily Carter arrived carrying a clipboard, clearly confused like everyone else. Lily stood quietly beside her. "Do you know what this is about?" Emily whispered. Lily shook her head. No. In truth, she was just as puzzled. Across the room, conversations continued in low voices until the large doors opened. William entered alone. The room immediately fell silent. Most employees had worked for him for years. They knew he rarely called meetings without an important reason. William stepped forward and looked around the hall. His expression was calm, but there was something different in his eyes. Something deeply personal. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "Today is not about business." The statement immediately caught everyone's attention. William paused briefly before continuing. "Over the past few weeks, I have been reminded of something important. Something that can easily be forgotten in a world that often measures people by titles, salaries, or possessions." The room remained completely silent. William slowly looked toward Lily. The little girl immediately froze. I met someone who taught me a lesson. Several employees exchanged confused glances. Emily frowned slightly. William continued. This person reminded me that true character is revealed when nobody is watching. Lily's heart began beating faster. Most people never see the sacrifices made behind closed doors. Most people never hear about the quiet acts of love that happen every day. William's gaze remained fixed on Lily. Suddenly, Emily looked down at her daughter. Confusion slowly turned into concern. William took a deep breath. A few weeks ago, I discovered that someone here had been skipping meals. The room became still. Emily immediately turned toward Lily. The little girl lowered her eyes. I discovered that someone had been eating leftovers in secret. A soft murmur moved through the crowd. Lily felt her face grow warm. She wanted to disappear. But William was not finished. At first, I thought the story was about poverty. He shook his head. I was wrong. The room listened carefully. The story was about love. Silence followed. Complete silence. William described the hidden jar of coins. The notebook filled with calculations. The money saved for medicine. The skipped meals. The promises made in secret. As he spoke, tears appeared in Emily's eyes. She stared at her daughter in disbelief. Lily, she whispered. The girl could not look up. William's voice softened. Everything she did was for one reason. She wanted to protect her mother. Emily covered her mouth. Tears streamed freely now. Around the room, several employees wiped their own eyes. No one had known. No one had imagined the extent of Lily's sacrifice. Finally, William walked across the room and stopped beside the young girl. Lily Carter, he said gently. You believed you were carrying this burden alone. Lily slowly looked up. You are not. William then revealed what he had quietly arranged over the previous days. Emily's recommended medical treatment would be fully funded. Educational support for Lily would be established through a scholarship program. Additional resources would ensure that neither of them would have to choose between health, food, and financial security again. The room erupted into stunned silence before emotions overwhelmed everyone. Emily immediately knelt and wrapped her arms around her daughter. Both cried openly. Not from sadness. From relief. Years of worry seemed to dissolve in a single moment. Yet the most remarkable part was not the financial assistance. It was what William said next. He looked at every employee in the room and spoke words they would remember for years. This help is not a reward for being poor, he said. It is recognition for extraordinary character. And as the entire mansion stood watching, Lily finally realized that the sacrifices she had hidden from the world had not gone unnoticed after all. 5 years later, the old maple tree still stood near the edge of the Harrington estate. Its branches were taller now. Its leaves still turned gold every autumn. And hidden beneath its shade sat the same weathered wooden bench where a little girl had once counted coins and worried about problems far beyond her years. But everything else had changed. On a bright October afternoon, dozens of guests gathered inside a grand auditorium in downtown Boston. Teachers, community leaders, business owners, students, and families filled the room. A banner stretched across the stage celebrating academic excellence and community leadership. The annual Harrington Scholars Ceremony had become one of the most respected educational programs in the state. Hundreds of young people had received opportunities through it. Yet on this particular day, one recipient attracted more attention than anyone else. William Harrington sat quietly in the front row. Age had added more silver to his hair, but his eyes remained sharp. Beside him sat Emily Carter. Healthy. Strong. Smiling. The years of uncertainty that had once shadowed her life were gone. Together they watched the stage with identical expressions of pride. Moments later, a young woman stepped toward the podium. Lily Carter was 17 now. The shy little girl who once hid in kitchens and skipped meals had grown into a confident, compassionate young leader. She had graduated at the top of her class. She volunteered in community programs. She mentored younger students facing difficult circumstances. And today she was receiving one of the state's most prestigious academic scholarships. The audience applauded as Lily adjusted the microphone. For a brief moment, she looked out across the crowd. Her eyes found William and her mother. Both smiled. She smiled back. Then she began speaking. People often ask me what changed my life. The room grew quiet. Some think it was a scholarship. She shook her head gently. Others think it was financial help. Another pause. They are wrong. William listened carefully. He already knew where this was going. Lily continued. What changed my life was being seen. Silence settled across the auditorium. For a long time, I believed strength meant carrying every burden by yourself. Her voice remained calm and steady. I thought protecting the people I loved meant hiding my struggles. Emily lowered her eyes, remembering. Then someone taught me something important. Lily smiled toward William. The strongest people are not the ones who never need help. They are the ones who accept help and use it to help others. Several audience members wiped away tears. William simply sat quietly. The words mattered more than any recognition he had ever received in business. Lily finished her speech to a standing ovation. Applause filled the auditorium. Cameras flashed. Teachers cheered. Students celebrated. Yet the most meaningful moment happened afterward. As the crowd dispersed, Lily slipped away from the attention and found William standing near a window overlooking the city. Boston glowed beneath the afternoon sun. You still disappear during your own celebrations, William said with a smile. Lily laughed. Some things never change. For a moment, they stood together watching the skyline. Then Lily reached into her purse and removed something small. A folded piece of paper. William immediately recognized it. The old promise she had written as a child. The paper was worn from years of being carried. You still have it? He asked. Lily nodded. Always. She carefully unfolded it. The childish handwriting remained visible. I will always take care of Mom. William smiled. Looks like you kept your promise. Lily looked toward her mother across the room. Emily was laughing with several teachers. Healthy. Happy. Free from the worries that once consumed her life. Yes, Lily said softly. But I learned something. What is that? Lily folded the paper again. Taking care of someone does not mean carrying everything alone. William's eyes softened. Outside, sunlight reflected across the city. Inside, the young woman who once hid in the dark eating leftovers stood confidently in the light she had earned. And as William watched her join her mother and the crowd of well-wishers, he realized the greatest success story he had ever witnessed was not built with money, power, or influence. It was built with love, sacrifice, character, and one extraordinary promise that a little girl refused to break.